All right, good morning, everybody. I've got 10:30 on the dot, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to call the meeting to order.
All right, by David, thank you. Sorry. Okay, and then to just to generate the roll call, I did want to let everybody know that we've updated the slides. Everybody in bold was reappointed or appointed to the BPAC last meeting. But go ahead, David. I do think we have quorum. I see a lot of we have the Hidalgo County, right? Do we? Actually, I don't see Belinda yet. Um, But I know we do have City of Harlingen with Javier Mendez, City of Brownsville with Chris Nelson, City of San Benito. Let's see. I don't see City of San Benito. We have City of FAR, yes. LRGVDC, I think, yes, Nancy is on. FAR District with St. Augustine. Obviously, David's with us. And then I'm not sure if John or Michael McNew were able to join, but I do see that Richard Cavan is with us. So we do have a quorum if we want to go ahead and get started.
All right, next item on the agenda is citizens input, public comment. So we'll go ahead and open that up. Anybody has anything to share?
Okay.
Anyone out there?
It's all right. We'll have more chances later. And I know we have a packed agenda.
All right, moving along.
Okay, item 4A is the acknowledgement of the posted September 11th, 2024 meeting recording. This item does not require any action, but we do want to share that if you do go to the Rgvmpo Bpac, they do have a playlist of our Bpac meetings. And so I do encourage you to check that out in case you ever want to go back and reference any of them. This is from the 2024. We have some other meetings here that you may be interested in, but that's essentially what that item was for. So I'll just go ahead and take it from here. Item 4B is consideration and action to appoint new members to the Rgvmpo Bpac. As you recall, earlier this year, we did have a call for members. And per our bylaws, members may be appointed on a rolling basis by the existing voting membership. So with that in mind, as a recap, again, we appointed or reappointed Far District, the LRGVDC, City of FAR, VORBA, and Richard Cavan as a citizen at large. So the webpage was updated to reflect the new members or the reappointed members, and I also updated our contact group. If you see here, I know Commissioner Rosgowan and Marisa Maya, who represent the Caracara Trails, their their term technically ended in October, just a few days ago, and they have submitted an application for reappointment, as has UTRGV, and we have another appointment or potential appointment for a citizen at large. So again, these is the recaps of the applications I did. Um, Okay, yeah, no problem. Just to kind of address, if you do want to do that, for formality's sake, I would encourage you to resubmit their information. We just need the name of the alternate, the title, the email address, and their phone number so that we can maintain our contact group. Thank you, City of San Benito. I see that you are here. And then, yeah, Javier, you can email me that or you can, just send that to me anyway, and we'll go ahead and update our webpage and our slides.
Okay.
But again, we have three applications for consideration today. And so we'll go ahead and get started with the first here. This is again the Caracara Trails. As you all know, Commissioner and Dr. Rose Gowan have served on our committee since 2020. I think the inception of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Marisa Maya became the project manager for the Caracara Trails, I think maybe a year ago, and has been able to provide us with presentations and updates regarding the activity going on with that group. So is there any discussion? Would you like to say a few words before we consider this appointment?
Eva, would you like me to say a few words, or was that for Commissioner Gowan? Up to you, or anybody else? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I don't see Commissioner Gowan is online. So if you'd like to kind of just communicate, your interest in serving on the board real quick, we can see if we have any nominations or possible action.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So really excited to be here and to be a part of this. Thank you so much, Eva, for even including us beforehand. The Gata Trails, I'm sure a lot of you guys have given updates, but a lot of you guys know we're making headway and we are continuing the growth of the Gata Trails network. And also including potentially adding on other municipalities like Santa Rosa, and we will continue that growth and looking for more smaller municipalities that want to be a part of it. But we're also actively involving Cameron County in grant applications and regional applications, and we're in the middle of one right now, and we'll continue to do that. But yes, would love to be a part of this organization. And if anybody has specific questions for me, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Marisa. With that, do we have any further discussion, questions, or possible action?
I motion to approve. Chris Nelson, City of Brownsville.
I second. David Vorba.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries and Gata Trails has been reappointed. Thank you all so much. We'll move on to the next applicant, which is UTRGV with Rodney Gomez and Pablo Aguilar. Rodney, if you're with us, or Pablo, please feel free to again introduce yourselves and let us know.
Good morning, everyone. We have an echo going there.
How does that sound, Rodney? Go ahead.
Okay, that's better. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. UTRGV, as you all know, is a regional entity. We have campuses both in Brownsville and at Edinburgh, Harlingen as well in Westaco and Stark County. We've been part of the BPAC for the past few years. We're interested in continuing to be a part of the conversation and just assisting other entities as best as we can, and also continuing our advocacy for regionalization. We do run a public transportation service that is open to the general public, and we have various projects that are ongoing that do touch upon various of the BPAC concerns. And so, yeah, we'd just like to continue being a part of the committee and assisting others as best we can.
Thank you. I think that's super helpful. If we have a possible motion, please advise. I'll go ahead and track that.
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Thank you. Javier from City of Harlingen, do we have a second?
I'll second that. Nancy with LRGVDC.
Thank you, Nancy. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And with that, UTRGV has been reappointed to serve on the Rgvmpo Bpac. Our final applicant has applied as a citizen at large. Naz is what we call her. She does have a PhD. I wonder if she's, oh, there you are. Would you like to say a few words, introduce yourselves, and we'll go ahead and track your application here?
Sure, thanks, Eva. So I'm an assistant professor at the School of Social Work at UTRGV. I live in Edinburgh, and I exclusively, I don't drive, so I have an interest as a citizen in pedestrian and bicycle friendly policy and infrastructure. I have a little bit of experience with pedestrian advocacy in the city of McAllen. So I have some experience conducting walk audits and that sort of thing. And yeah, I'm really interested and excited to potentially be part of this group.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Any motion?
A motion to approve, David Vorba.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Welcome to the Rgvmpo Bpac, Naz. And it's okay if we call you Naz?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on from here, and I'll make any corrections to these slides at a later time. But as a recap, as a recap, we have officially approved the appointment or reappointment of the following 3 applicants. So if we look back, just to kind of recap, now officially this position has been filled. One of the 2 stakeholders have been filled, and now with the appointment of Naz, that has been filled. So overall, our current vacancies include 1 public agency, 1 economic development agency, 1 stakeholder agency, and 1 bicycle and pedestrian citizen at large. So we'll still have 4 vacancies. And again, we do have a rolling appointment. So if you know anyone interested, or if you yourself are interested in reappointment, again, your terms have been moving and swiftly, and so we continue to monitor that, and we will be bringing up potential appointments as applications are received. So with that, now kind of recapping on our membership total, we'd like to have an election for the chair and the vice chair. And per our bylaws, we do have these appointments, I think, occur after the 2 years since they've served. And so as a recap, David has served as our chair for the last 2 years, I think from October to September. And Commissioner Rosgowan has been our vice chair for the last 2 years as well. So Melanie has shared a Mentimeter on your on the chat, and we are going to go ahead and get started here. The code, if you can't see it, it's 39403246. Okay. Go ahead, Clarissa. You have your hand
Hey,
up?
Evan, everyone. Yes, and I just wanted to share to make sure that everyone knows that this Mentimeter survey is exclusively for voting members. If that would be something safe to say, maybe because we have some new staff joining.
Yes, thank you so much, Clarissa, for pointing that out. You are correct. This should be voting membership only that participate in the election. So you should know if you're a voting member or if you're a stakeholder. I'm really glad you brought that up. We do have some new staff on the call. So this is for the BPAC chair and the vice chair. And first, we're going to get nominations and then we'll vote. Okay. So please nominate a member for the Rgvmpo Bpac chair position. So this is the nomination. We'll make sure they accept that nomination, and then we'll proceed with a vote. If y'all don't mind, I'm just going to get off camera for a little bit. Yes,
Yeah,
let me go back to share. Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry. Let me get off of the Mentimeter. That'll still be open. I'm not going to move from there, but we will show everyone. And I feel like, let me go ahead and just kind of put this in because we do have Rose Gowan. This is Rodney Gomez and Pablo. Oh, and then we have Naz here. Okay, So this is our official vote. So hopefully I'm looking at Melanie's monitor to see if we got any other nominations coming in, but these are the memberships. Okay, cool. It looks like we do have more now. I'll bring this back up. But actually let me see if I need to move over to the next slide. Do. And so it looks like we have a sufficient amount of nominations. I see there are multiple, so I'll go ahead and get started with David. David, do you accept the nomination and potential to be elected as chair?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't think Commissioner Rose Gowan is with us, but Marisa, I think you're working closely with her. You think she would accept the nomination for potential chair?
Yes.
Okay, great. Javier Mendez, if elected, do you accept the nomination for chair?
Yes, I do.
Rodney Gomez, do you accept the nomination for chair?
Yes, sure.
And Edgar Pettis, do you accept the nomination for chair?
Yes.
Okay. And we also have John Ray. I don't see John Ray Bocanegra with us. I think he's on paternity leave. He is a great advocate for public transportation. Well, I don't know if it's a courtesy to include him, but we do have our slides ready for that. We're going to do the nominations for vice chair and then we'll start to vote. So I'll go back to the other slide. But again, this is nominations for vice chair. You can renominate the same people because again, if they don't make it in one position or they may make it in the other position. So let me go ahead and open up the membership again. There we go. We'll give that some time. I do see a few coming in through Melanie's window. So far, we have Chris Nelson, Rodney Gomez, Javier Mendez, and John Ray. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and call the nominations there. Oh, we have Rose Gowan as well. Okay, great. Beautiful. Chris Nelson, do you accept the nomination for potential vice chair position?
Yes.
Great. Rodney, Javier, Rose, I know we've already asked you. Would you accept? You cannot just chime in.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do the vote now. This is the next slide. Please vote for based on the nominations and those who have accepted the nominations, please vote for the chair position. This will be followed by the vice chairs. Okay, we've got 13 votes so far, and I think we have a 14 membership. So I'm gonna call it there. We're still seeing 15. So I'm not sure we're getting multiple. We're looking at this. Let's see. Let me exit this. I just want to see if we don't have a count overall. But it looks like we have, let me see, what did I have on these slides? Let me see. Okay, then we're going to take action. All right, so these are the results of this. We're going to move on to the vice chair, and then we'll take action for the actual election, but that's what the results have shown. This is again for the vice chair position. You just saw the results of the chair position, so please vote for your vice chair. We have 12 results so far, and we do have Melanie took a screenshot and sent the results for chair in the chat, in case you want to reference that. We have 14 votes now for the vice chair position. So I think we can go ahead and leave that there. Yeah, I don't see that changing. Let's go back to the slide. So thank you all so much for your nominations and for your votes here. Melanie will take a screenshot of the vice chair results and post it in the chat. But with that, do we have any discussion or would anyone like to make a possible action?
I motion to approve the chair position. David Borba.
David, so that is that for Commissioner Rose-Gowan?
Yes.
Thank you.
City of San Benito, I'll second.
Thank you. I'll come back and fix this. Thank you, Joanna. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Next, for vice chair, do we have a possible action?
I make a motion to approve the results as listed.
So that would
vice chair.
be Rodney, right? Yeah, thank you. Rodney Gomez, UTRGV.
I'll second.
Thank you,
Javier,
Nancy.
Javier Mendez.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and fix these slides after the meeting. But all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So thank you all. You've elected your new chair and vice chair. And as a reminder, per our bylaws, these are 2-year terms. So thank you, Rodney. Would you like to say a few words? I know Rose isn't with us, but we'll continue this meeting with our current chair, and then we'll have you start as vice chair in the next in January in 2025, basically. But thank you. Okay, we'll move on. I know we have a lot on the agenda, and it's already almost 11. We're going to also talk about the meeting schedule. We hadn't really set anything in stone. I typically do send out annual surveys. So if we go ahead and just let me get to that slide. This is regarding the 2025 BPAC meeting schedule. We have 4 questions for you, I believe. Just to kind of give you a heads up before I change the slide, the questions are related to meeting frequency, the day of the week that we host the meeting, the time of day, and the meeting schedule. So with that, that's the questions you're going to get. We'll get started with the first one. How frequently should the BPAC meet? Every other month, like we've been doing in 2024, or quarterly? We didn't put up a monthly option because, as you recall, it's kind of hard for us to make really good presentations and get work done with that. So we have 4 votes so far. We'll go ahead and give this a second. All right. It looks like we got a majority vote already. Oh, things are changing. Well, I'll wait for 15. I'll wait for 15 members. 15 votes, I mean. See if we get 2 more in. Well, I think even if they are for quarterly, it looks like we're going to be meeting every other month. We'll go ahead and get to the next question. That's okay. Wait, let me see. 14. Yep. Still every other month. What day of the week should we meet? Since 2020, we have been meeting on Wednesdays, although the times have changed a little bit. But whatever works best for the group, we're okay with that too. We know membership changes, things change every year, so we thought we'd ask again. Bless you, man. We have 14 results so far. It looks like Wednesdays work for the majority of the group. So we'll probably likely stick to Wednesdays and every other month. We know that so far. Yeah, Wednesdays work for most. So morning, lunch, or afternoon. We've been meeting before we were meeting at 10. This year we've been doing, oh no, before we were meeting at 11. This year we've been doing 10:30 to give it a little bit more time. Alrighty, good 7, excuse me. Okay, we have 12 votes so far. If you're an afternoon person, this I'm sorry, it looks like we're gonna be meeting in the mornings. Let's keep going. I think we have our majority vote. Yeah, we have 14 votes. So we'll go ahead. And how should we meet? This has been a mix. I think in 2021, 2020 and 2021, it was 100% virtual. I think even 2022 was 100% virtual. And then we started doing every other meeting in person and virtual. And again, we tried to do, I think, one meeting virtual, one meeting in person. And with the exception of November, it worked out. There's going to be a tight race. We'll give it some time.
So the in-person quorum with virtual flexibility, is that like hybrid meetings, or is that like kind of like we've been doing with like an occasional in-person meeting, but the other one's virtual?
I think that it is, I think it's an in-person meeting. We want the quorum to be in person. If we're going to go out, if we as staff are going to go out of our way to get a venue and, set up and be present somewhere outside of our office space, then we would want to have most of the membership joining in person. And so virtual flexibility would be for like one or two, but we would want an established quorum in person, if that makes sense. So a hybrid option, but with emphasis, like encouragement for in person. We have 16 votes, and it's looking like the majority is clicking 100% virtually. So I'm gonna stick with that. And we will go ahead and send out a calendar invite. We'll blast them out. But because we're meeting in November, we'll start our first meeting in January. And I didn't like set out the dates because we weren't sure how everything was gonna turn out, but just to kind of look at the month, we'll meet in January. Let's see, where are we? That's December. So January 1st is a Wednesday. Maybe we'll probably set it up for January 8th. Okay, and then we'll go every other month. So not February, but we'll meet in March, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll go ahead and send out those calendar invites. But let me put in the results here. Meeting frequency was going to be every other month. And feel free to chime in if you have anything you'd like to say or any questions. I didn't ask this question in Mentimeter, but is everyone still okay with an hour and a half? Is that okay? Thumbs up if you're okay with that. Okay, great. And Edwin, you have some comments? Oh, that was your thumbs up. I got you. Thank you. Okay, then we'll go ahead and stick to meetings starting at 10:30 a.m. and we'll do that hour and a half. Okay, do we have a possible action for these results? Thanks, Richard. Richard, motion to approve this schedule and seconded by Naz in the chat. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
All, any opposed? All right, the motion carries. And again, I'll go ahead and send out calendar invites, saving the date for our 2025 meeting schedule. And we'll also be sure to make those changes on our webpage and so that everyone is fully aware of when we're meeting. So with that, we're on item 4E, presentation and discussion on the fiscal year 2025-2027 tacit open call for projects. So if you're not aware, Transportation Alternatives, or TA funding, is the largest funding source for trails, and it is intended to expand travel choice, strengthen the local economy, improve quality of life, and protect the environment. It is a reimbursement program. I really want to emphasize that. Any projects that are selected for award must fund their own project until they can they're authorized through an FPAA to proceed with spending that money and submitting those reimbursement requests. Another thing that I really want the BPAC to be aware is that while our MPO is one of the few MPOs in the state of Texas to have our own call for projects, your projects and municipalities are also eligible to apply for the statewide call for projects. There are several categories there, and so you should be eligible for community-based or any area funds. Oops, sorry. So anyway, I wanted to make that real clear. But for our regional call for projects, we have $9,288,425 in federal funds available for this program. We've updated our webpage to reflect the new TASA program guide, TASA scoring criteria, and the application itself. The call officially opened November 1st, last Friday. There is a deadline to receive technical assistance, which ends on December 23rd. That's just to request the technical assistance, but we can provide the technical assistance in January. But the deadline to submit your application is January 31st. If you do want to receive technical assistance, there is a form on our webpage where you can put in your availability, and those emails automatically come to Melanie and I so that we can schedule time to provide that technical assistance with you. This is kind of the big picture. If you look at it, we opened in November, 2 months to request that technical assistance, 3 months to actually provide it with the deadline of January 31st. Then in February, the Rgvmpo staff and our Tex.FAR district friends will be reviewing applications to determine eligibility and validating any submittals or the responses. And then once we've done our primary review, we'll pass that on to our evaluators with a month for them to kind of review any and all applications until we host a special meeting. We're aiming for April to present to Tech and Policy. So as we've talked about, it's for the 2025 BPAC meeting schedule. We're going to meet in January. We'll meet in March. We'll have a special meeting in May just to evaluate project proposals. Then we'll have a regular meeting again in May. So just to kind of understand where that goes. And this is, again, those deadlines that I've been reiterating. And if you are on the BPAC, we'll talk about this in a little bit. It's part of our discussion. We're assuming we'll have a special meeting in April. But we did have a workshop on November 1st. We have our second workshop November 13th, and we go into details on the program guide, the application, and scoring criteria. We also did provide a sample project, our highest ranked project from the last call for projects, and we showed you how those presentations are prepared, the template that the MPO provides, so that you can understand as a potential applicant what a competitive application will look like. And then, of course, we're talking about BPAC evaluators here. So this is a presentation discussion item. No action is required, but does anybody have any questions, comments related to the call for projects that we just opened?
Eva, this is Nancy. We will be having questions for you, but if I can just send that out outside the meeting.
Yeah,
That
not a
you
problem
can
at all.
assist me with information.
Sure.
Thank you.
That's not a problem at all. Anybody who has questions or can come to me or the MPO in general after this meeting. But to answer your question in the chat, Naz, we usually help with discussing like what if you have a project proposal, what your maps may look like, what helps the evaluators. If you have questions about how to answer a question because you don't know if you should select A or B, then that is the kind of technical assistance we really provide. Sometimes smaller communities may not have the capacity to do really great maps or to give us some GIS, routes or etc. So if they do need some assistance for the materials that they'd like to submit, again, per federal requirement, we are encouraged to provide that technical assistance. Of course, we don't evaluate the project. So on our side, staff have nothing to do with which projects are selected, but we want to make sure that every municipality has the capacity they need to do this application submittal. Hopefully that answered your question. Cool. And I should been typing this so that I could. There we go. And we put okay. All right, if there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and move on to the discussion about BPAC evaluators. So we take our feedback very seriously here at the MPO, especially for the bicycle and pedestrian program. I regularly ask for feedback, for guidance, for input. And I think during one of our call for projects, during one of our TASA working group meetings, we did have 3 prior to opening the call. We asked, rank the following strategies to ensure equitable geographic representation for TASA project evaluations. The last call for projects, there was some concern that there wasn't enough geographic equity in our process. And so we wanted to see what works best, what could we do. We found a couple of options. We provided these options to the working group. We had 19 votes, and the highest ranked strategy was to rotate evaluators from different areas to make sure all regions are represented. That was the clearest, to rotate evaluators. So we looked at the last call for projects. We had a total of 16 evaluators. 3 were regional public agencies. This is the list here. 4 were from Hidalgo County public agencies. 1 was a Cameron County public agency. 2 were regional bicycle-oriented agencies. 2 were regional stakeholder agencies. And so that's VORBA, Caracara Trails, UTRGV, and Texas Parks and Wildlife. Those are those. And then 4 citizens at large. 3 from the Hidalgo County area and 1 from the Cameron County area. But as of November 1st, 2024, that's earlier this month when we opened the call, we had 2 regional public agencies, which is it's TxDOT FAR District and the LRGVDC. We had 2 Hidalgo County public agencies, which is FAR and FAR and Hidalgo County. And then we had 3 Cameron County public agencies, which is Harlingen, Browns, and San Benito. And then we had 2 regional bicycle and pedestrian agencies, either the same, and 2 citizens at large. Now, this is subject to change. As you know, it has already changed. We now have a regional stakeholder agency, and we now have a new citizen at large. And Caracara Trails was reappointed, so that doesn't impact that too much. But I think our citizen at large, again, is from the Hidalgo County area. So I wanted to have a very frank and open discussion about the evaluators to make sure that I'm getting the best feedback I can get to prepare a process that is equitable for our region. And just to be really clear, whoever evaluates is typically provided with an evaluation. This is what we provided last year, or the last call for projects. And every evaluator, we pre-fill the information up here. Who's evaluating, who's the primary, who's the alternate. We provide the project name and the project type. And then that way it's pre-filled. Everybody has their evaluation forms and they can score with each of our scoring criteria here. So that is what the evaluator does. And when we take all of those evaluators' evaluation forms, the Rgvmpo staff, shout out to them, help put that into an Excel sheet where we get the average number of score, the average score for each criteria category, and then we get the overall rank, right? So this is what the evaluator does. And we do have a Mentimeter to, again, document and find the best way to provide an equitable process for the region. So yeah, this is where we are now. Oh, I realized I just made a question. I missed that question. Sorry, guys. We're gonna have to move. But for the fiscal year 25-27, TASA call for project evaluators with consideration to geographic equity. We have asked to, again, rank the following strategies to ensure equitable geographic representation. And if you'd like to have a discussion over a vote, please go ahead and communicate that. We're just not sure if what we're doing there's natural turnover in the BPAC membership. Historically, BPAC members have always evaluated TA call for projects. So again, this is open for your feedback, your questions, your comments. Melanie has already dropped the Mentimeter again. It's the same one, same code. And after this question is an open-ended question. But if you're satisfied with us using the membership, I mean, that's kind of where we're leaning right now. Is we do feel that our BPAC membership is open to anyone in the region willing to apply, and we again have a rolling a rolling basis for appointments. So we do try to ensure that there's some rotation in our evaluators with each call for projects. Increase outreach to ensure every region knows about and participates in the selection process. We have presented to the LRGVDC board of directors about the call for projects and about the Rgvmpo, but I think we, again, could, as a strategy, could increase outreach. And since we do have some vacancies, maybe we can go ahead and encourage another call for members to fill those vacancies and have increased outreach for the whole process and understand maybe what members on the BPAC do. I see 9 votes so far. I'm going to go ahead and move to the open-ended question. Oops. I think it's just open-ended. I don't think I put anything at the top. Anybody have any thoughts, any comments?
I just wanted to say I think you were doing a good job with making sure that you keep everyone up to date on the process and streamlining the process. I completely agree. We want to be as equitable as possible, but we can only do so much for people who don't show up. So I try to rank as best as I can with the options, but if people are ready with projects, people are ready with projects to apply and get graded, right, and evaluated. But yeah, I mean, you've been doing a good job, and just continue with outreach, and maybe that continue effort can help bring more people on board with the membership, like you said. There's
Definitely.
only so much we can do. Yeah.
I appreciate that comment. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a challenge to get the engagement and to have well-informed and knowledgeable. I see here in this comment is include evaluators from a wide array of life experience with bicycle and pedestrian needs. And so I think definitely I appreciate your comments, Javier. We do our best. Nothing is ever perfect, no matter how hard we try. But I'm always open for suggestions and for feedback. And if anyone would like for me to present to their community or to a group that they know that may have older adults, people with disabilities, etc., I may not be aware of everything going on in the region, but I'm more than willing to be present, show up, and encourage others to engage with us. But thank you. Okay, well, I appreciate again your comments. Again, the Mentimeter results showed, I think, let me just go back to that real quick. Increase outreach and I think rotate evaluators. So, 1, 2, And I would just say, comments were doing a good job at streamlining and communicating is what I heard. We do have this recorded, so we will be, I'll be sure to like edit the presentation before I make any final changes and upload it to our website. But this is not an action item. If we do, I'll work with the chair and the vice chair now to kind of determine if we need to bring anything back up in in January, prior to May and the evaluations that we're hoping to do in April. But luckily we do have some time to make any final changes to the TASA evaluation process. And so if we do need to, we'll come back in January. Otherwise, I'm thinking it will be the existing BPAC membership. Again, we still have some vacancies, so it may grow to have more evaluators. But as of right now, those of you that are voting members will be helping us evaluate for this call for projects. Moving on, because it's 11:16. Yeah, we're doing good, I think. We have item 4G, presentation and discussion on the regional bike share program, which is called Rgvmpo Bpac. And just, I'll provide a little bit of history before passing it on, but essentially the bike share program was one of the initiatives that was determined to be short term in the regional active transportation plan. The action was to develop this regional bike share plan, continued financial and political support of the local program, and the measurement of success would be the number of bike share programs established and the number of annual trips. So there's a little bit more in our active transportation plan. I think what it really communicates at the end here was the city of McAllen has been operating a B-cycle program since 2015. There were plans in motion since 2019, 2020 to move the bike share system to a regional level and are still in action through the LRGVDC and its funding partners. So that being said, as a recap, again, McAllen has had B-cycle for a while. And in 2020, I know that there was some funding coming from the Valley Baptist Legacy Foundation, and that went to the LRGVDC. And in 2021, they launched the Brownsville and Harlingen B-cycle programs. They hired a regional bike share coordinator. And I think in 2022, they got new kiosk updates with B-cycle. And in 2023, there were a lot of changes. I think we lost our regional bike share coordinator. I'm not sure how operational management and the potential plan. We wanted to do a grant application. We didn't get funding to potentially expand the program. But now it's 2024 and there have been some maintenance and repair updates. And so I'll go ahead and hand this over to Nancy Sanchez to provide the quarterly report to our members. Nancy?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, so the report, Eva, do you want me to share the report?
Yeah, you can share your screen. You can see, I also have it up if you want me to change the slide, but okay, perfect. Thank you. No, that's fine. That's perfect.
Okay, so we have the 2024 quarterly report for August through October. We did have 28 1-hour passes, and total duration was about 31 minutes for each. There was a distance of 130 miles for those 1-hour passes. The 24-hour passes were 33 miles, and overall 163. We had one member with the annual membership. The busiest days of the week were essentially the weekend, Saturday and Sunday with 6 and 7 rentals. The peak time was about 8 p.m. And you can see the graph here as far as the peak times. Our most active kiosks for rentals is the Dean Porter Park, Belden Trail, Lonsey Hill, Linear Park, and McKilby Park. Okay, so we have put up the 3.0 dock stations. And here's a little recap of that. The riders can already check out the bicycles in using the QR code. So that has been really an upgrade for the pedestrians and the people wanting to get these bikes out. So all the stations do have that QR code available now. This is just a recap of everything that's been taken to bring the system online in Brownsville and in Harlingen. There has been a lot of troubleshooting. We have gotten those stations running. Like Eva mentioned, we had lost our coordinator, but we have somebody temporarily going in there from in-house. And they seem to be doing a really good job. They're working closely with Harlingen and Brownsville to get these working. So actions to take in the future would be, we're gonna need additional 3.0 stations, and the troubleshooting with the bicycles. We've gotten new, what is it, the Wi-Fi service on there. That was an issue at the beginning, but we got new ones, and hopefully everything will be updated. And that's the report for this one.
Thanks so much, Nancy.
Nancy,
Mhm.
is there a way to get the breakdown of the numbers, like per site?
Per site, yes, we're able to do that. We just did a recap really quick, but we are able to do those per site.
Okay. Would you be able to share that? Would you be able to share that with us?
Yes, I'll go ahead
Okay.
and include it in the next report.
Thank you.
Sorry, I
will
was
be-
on mute.
I'm sorry, Emma. We will be meeting with the partners. We do want to get the partnership going again. I believe Mr. Logan and the cities wanted to probably meet in January just to see how we can get this started again.
I keep forgetting to unmute myself, but thank you, Nancy. I think that is something that I'll be discussing soon in the in my next item on bicycle and pedestrian count data. We need MOU revisions, and so I think your program also has some MOU revisions that may be required. I know it's kind of hard to manage discuss programmatic needs, right? But keep me posted if there's anything I can do to help facilitate. I see in the chat that Mr. Richard Cavan has said, if you need any testing done on the bikes in the Harlingen area, let him know. His mic is currently dead, but I got you, Richard. We're going to be following the chat, and we appreciate that. Will this meeting be a group meeting or individual? I understood it sounded like a program partner meeting. Nancy?
Yes, it will be a partner meeting with the city of Brownsville and city of Harlingen, and also we're going to be inviting the city of McAllen.
Great, thank you so much. If you would like a one-on-one meeting, Javier, I do encourage you to just meet with Nancy directly and request that, if that's something Harlingen is interested in, definitely.
Yes, we'll be available.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, is the city of Edinburg included in this program? That's a question in the chat.
Not at this moment, but we can include it probably in the future. That's going to be one of the discussions, is adding neighboring cities and where we can partner with them to add these the bike stations.
All right, hopefully I reflected those notes well. But from what I understood, it looks like you'll be discussing that potential with neighboring cities of the program partners in the future. So thanks everyone for your questions and your comments. If there's no further discussion, I'll move on to item 4H, which is the presentation discussion on the regional bike ped count data program. So I'm gonna do the same thing. We typically provide quarterly updates. This, of course, for those of you who are new, I like to provide refreshers, but this is from the active transportation plan. This is from the planning and design initiatives. And it's to have establish a regional bicycle and pedestrian trail count data program and participate in the TechStop bicycle and pedestrian count exchange program. And so we do annual count reporting, number of automated counters. There's more information on our active transportation plan, but we'll recap this. Valley Baptist Legacy Foundation had awarded LRGVDC with 18 counters, and the MPO has assisted LRGVDC with ensuring that those counters got installed. Now, I could not delete Chris Nelson's name. He used to be with the Rgvmpo back when. It's been almost over a year now, and the program has suffered with his departure. I'll be honest. But in 2020 is when that grant came. And in 2021, with the help of Chris and TTI, we had the agreements coordinated. We provided training and installation, and our partnership cities were all engaged. We did do a temporary counter deployment in 2022 with some data reporting, and this included other municipalities that were not in our program, like Westlaco, La Feria, and Port Isabel, for those temporary counts. And then we did apply in 2023 for some additional legacy funding with the bike share program to expand these programs. Unfortunately, we were not awarded. And so in 2024, the MPO decided to utilize some of our own budget and our own funds to procure loggers and batteries for maintenance and repairs. We haven't distributed those loggers and batteries due to the need to revise MOUs. If you're unaware, at the MPO, we've been severely short-staffed, and we just hired a bunch of new people, which I'll be sure to mention at the end of the meeting. But we've been severely short-staffed and have not been able to I haven't had the capacity personally to work on the MOU revisions and the maintenance and repairs. And so unfortunately, the program is suffering for the lack of capacity. But we're not giving it up. And I didn't want to hide from the fact that we still need to do this. And on the upside, again, our partners are here. I know they were engaged back when. This is just it brings me joy to kind of see where we started and wanting to get back there. But our current status is we did procure these things. And so the batteries and the loggers, I know this is what's inside these individual boxes. And so we have them. They've all been inventoried. What is it called when they it's inventoried, right? Yeah, our procurement department inventoried all of them. So they all have numbers, and we will have to work on these MOU revisions and getting on your commissioner meetings. And so I don't know if anybody has any questions. Again, I wish I have done more for this program this year. But we're not going to stop. I will continue to commit my time. And I think that I see the light at the end of the tunnel since we have new staff. Shout out to the new staff. And we have a new director too. But with that, do we have any questions, comments on the counter program? Sorry, I was not able to provide actual numbers because the batteries and the loggers are kind of what is needed to get that data back to us. And so, unfortunately, we don't have counts right now, but feel free to reach out to me. Okay. Okay. We'll come back. We'll provide you with an update. I don't have any other meetings in November. I think my next TAC and policy meeting is December 4th. So I'm really, really hopeful that we can get in front of your commissions before the end of this calendar year. I'm not lying. I will dedicate more time to this. But moving on, we have the regional design standards initiatives. This is item 4A. And so again, as a recap, this is from the active transportation plan. Adopt regional design standards for active transportation facilities. And the measure of success is that adopted standards are incorporated into municipal roadway design manuals or similar documents. It does say the entity to lead is the MPO with local engagement, and it was a short-term item. Again, we adopted this plan in December of 2020, so it is kind of a challenge, again, to we want to see progress, but short term, how is it defined? To kind of go back, I'm like, did we skip a slide here? Okay, yeah. So just as a recap, Clarissa Gonzalez has been helping with this initiative. I know earlier this year, she reviewed federal and state design standards, including the TxDOT bicycle design guidance, AASHTO, which is the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials, and NACTO, the National Association of City Transportation Officials. They all have guidance for bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. And so she did a literature review. And I think now in 24, we want to determine regional standard goals and objectives before we go on in 2025 to present regional designs draft standards for feedback. And hopefully by the end of next year, we can have final regional standards for adoption. And so we'll see how that goes. But again, reviewing that, developing and adopting regional design guidelines consistent with other regional plans and incorporating them. So why are we focused on regional design standards? Well, I like to give annual programmatic surveys to our membership. And in 2021 and in 2023, regional design standards were the number one priority for organizations that submitted feedback. And so again, I think it's been kind of a challenge to do all of the initiatives from our active transportation plan, but we have an emphasis for safety. We have the Safe Streets for All plan that is being developed. You got an update on that in September. And so Federal Highway Administration has proven safety countermeasures for pedestrians and cyclists. And so whether they're including bike lanes, refuge islands, road diets, pedestrian hybrid beacons, walkways, I think visibility enhancements at crosswalks or leading pedestrian intervals. These are the type of proven safety countermeasures that really help for bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. FHWA also has guidance on complete streets and design flexibility. And so again, typically you won't see a roadway mid-block or like outside of an intersection, but there is some design flexibility. But the purpose for FHWA is to support complete streets design, prioritizing safety, comfort, and connectivity for all users without creating binding legal requirements. It persuades previous guidance, which replaces 2013 guidance on design flexibility. And the complete streets design, again, focuses on safety and comfort, which is prioritizing safe speeds, separation of users, improved access for pedestrian, bicyclists, and transit. And then as a compliance note, FHWA guidance doesn't guarantee compliance with all federal laws like ADA. Some treatments require specific approvals. For example, the MUTCD interim approval. I think that's a process that you might have to go through. But overall, I wanted to kind of hit this FHWA guidance because when we design infrastructure for people of all ages and abilities, and this includes, you may have a 2-year-old at home, or I know I have a niece and nephew that are like 4 and 5 learning how to ride bicycles. Or if I have a Thea who's a wheelchair user, and my grandfather cannot walk at the speed that he used to walk anymore. And so when we're thinking about building infrastructure, it's not for those of us who have, I'm in my 30s and I'm an able-bodied person and all this stuff. When we design infrastructure for people of all ages and all kinds of abilities, we really create safer spaces for everyone, and it really creates an improved comfort. So I just really want to emphasize that for these design standards. But Melanie also found this alternate roadway design guidelines, and this came out of the bill and the FAST Act. It recognizes publications that assist, and so we've talked about this a little bit. We have NACTO as one of them, AASHTO and NACTO, this guidance, but there's also Global Street Design Guide, which emphasizes life savings, basically saving lives and improving safety. And then the ITE, Designing Walkable Urban Thoroughfares. I hadn't heard about that. So there's a link here, but the goal overall is support local agencies in adopting complete streets that enhance connectivity and serve diverse users. So I love these separated facilities. I know this makes me feel safe. And if my sister left me with my niece and nephew and they wanted to go outside, I would feel better watching those kids if we had some protected infrastructure in our communities. And so, again, you can kind of see the separation of facilities here. There's all kinds of ways to do this. And what we're trying to develop with regional design standards is basically a document that can help our region really do that. And so as a discussion item, we do have, I want to just kind of like, I'm going to pop this up. It's a working Word document that we're developing, but we have an outline, where we want to have design standards that help us implement resiliency, safety, reduce congestion, and promote regionalism. And so I think that's something that we struggle to do. But what can we build in a document that will help our region do that? Is the questions that we have as MPO staff. So for recreational trails, we've kind of like sub categorized it for recreational trails, and we have some information here about safety, environmental, I think permeable, materials. I'm thinking like separated facilities, but what type of widths do we want to recommend for our region? What kind of offset, clear space, signage, and striping? Any physical barriers? How do we address intersections? And where do these trails terminate? What does that look like? I think we have a need for providing more trailheads and more in particular for our community. But for on-street, again, it's a different type of category, and we want to make sure that we're addressing that appropriately. Streets with adjacent sidewalks is very common in our area. They typically are called shared use paths. And so again, what kind of regional standards do we have? So we were going to develop a Mentimeter, and then, I started thinking too much, and I want to do a Microsoft Forms. I'm probably going to be including this in the annual Microsoft Forms where we give, I'm going to send you all a long survey, and we're going to go over different initiatives, and you're going to tell us your most honest and critical feedback to help us improve our bicycle and pedestrian program overall. So some questions we want to ask, like what standards do you usually reference if you're an engineer and this applies to you? What are you hoping as a result of regional design standards, right? Like we talked about improved drainage mitigation, encourage native landscaping, xeriscaping. We really want trees for shade, right? I mean, I'm just going to talk about for myself. And again, we talked about this, creating more accessible infrastructure. So the questions that we're developing for your feedback in this survey, will help us build standards that make sense to us. And I know, I put here branding, marketing, tourism, because with Gotta Trails, I realize, well, I'm not good at ever doing public facing materials. But when I see, Marisa and the project manager before her, where they're promoting on Instagram, and they have like these free classes on the trails, and we know that they're improving signage and expanding that. I think what we're trying to do now is create a regional network that is identifiable so that you're on this regional network. But anyway, that's the discussion item. I'm open to kind of your initial thoughts about this. We wanted to present this update to you because again, we've made a little bit of progress here, but our next steps, again, we have this draft outline. We want to flesh it out, but I think your feedback in the survey will really be critical to this. So I see, Naz, you put curb cut effect, yes. And so I hope that means you're excited about potential design standards, but I'm open to any comments, questions, feedback here for anyone. If we have any members, I'm looking at you, Augustine, or anybody here, I don't know, anybody else who's really interested in regional design standards, I'd be interested in kind of getting your name so that we can kind of reach out to you privately. Otherwise, after this meeting, I will be sending out a survey, a Microsoft Forms survey for everybody to fill out. And if the response rate is low, I'm telling you right now, we're going to come back in January and we're going to fill out the survey together during the meeting, okay? But hopefully you guys can help distribute that survey and get in touch with your local engineers to see what we can do best. But any other questions or comments? All right, we'll move on to the next item. I know it's 11:40, but I think we're doing good on time. I think we're going to be okay. Project updates. So I want to encourage everybody to share their updates, but I also do have item 5A, which is presentation and discussion on the TxDOT FAR District Bicycle Plan. And so this was, again, from July 2024. TxDOT, there was an article letting us know that there was community input for this proposed valley-wide plan. If you aren't familiar with the FAR District, it includes more than just the 4 counties of the RGV. It's all the way up to that. I don't know what county that is, but I think it's like Brooks and all these other counties up here. So it's this whole region. So this bicycle plan is for the whole tip of Texas. And it was a huge process that started in 2022, and it has now been fully completed. But the district plan analyzed bicycling needs on highways and state-owned roads. It identifies and prioritizes locations where bicycling improvements will benefit the communities, and it recommends how different routes function as part of the bicycling network. Provides guidance for designing future bikeway projects, and benefits include reducing barriers, improving health, supporting economic development, and improving safety for all people. And again, yeah, we really want to Texas Bicycle Tourism Trails. It is a part of it. And this is the table of contents for the plan itself, which again, I think it's very in depth. It talks about what kind of outreach they had including coming to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee here, all the online surveys and input maps, bicycling condition survey. I know Richard submitted a lot of feedback. I know many of you did, and I really want to thank you for that. They analyzed existing conditions. They did their needs assessment and goals for biking in the FAR district. And then their prioritization methodology was very extensive, and I want to cover some of this. Again, they have a great website. I think this is in their story maps. I'm going to just drop this in the chat for you to have fun with. There you go. But going back, I did put some slides out. This is the state highway system that we're talking about. All the other counties that we're talking about. We know the bigger populations are in Hidalgo and Cameron County. So, people may bicycle along 90% of the FAR district state highway system, including rural highways, ag-grade roadways that function as thoroughfares in cities and towns, and frontage roads adjacent to access-controlled highways. The remaining 10%, or about 235 miles, are limited access highways where bicycling is not allowed. So that's the state system. These are existing and planned bikeways, and you can see here, I'll let you scroll through this on your own time, but there's approximately 69 miles of striped bike lanes, 4 miles of buffered bike lanes, and 1 mile of shared lanes in FAR, with the majority of the bike lanes located in Hidalgo County. So these typically tend to be shoulders. But we also looked at the collisions involving people bicycling. So from 2017 to 2019, 292 bicycle-involved crashes occurred on state highway systems, resulting in 14 fatalities and 29 serious injuries. I think this is really critical when we talk about where we need to prioritize projects, especially with a new call for projects coming up. But it also analyzed community needs. And this is something that we do in our TASA applications, is we look at what percentage of households are 0-car households, right? I know that I grew up with, a sister who was 1 year older than me, a brother who was 1 year younger than me, and my mom, and we all shared one vehicle, for the longest time. And I think that wasn't a 0-car household. We were in a rural area. There was no way we could live in a 0-car household, but we cannot be oblivious to the amount of individuals around us that do not own vehicles and cannot just drive from point A to point B. So again, we want to expand access to safe, comfortable bicycling options across the FAR district that allow residents greater access to jobs, transit, and other day-to-day needs or community resources. So I thought that, again, I just go back to like the higher percentage, the yellow areas of 13 to 65% of people with 0-car households. But These are the bicycling needs per segment, and I thought this was kind of interesting. It's geographic data. So some bikeway needs extend along segments of highway roads, while other needs affect intersections or crossing locations. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. And then this is how they prioritize. There's opportunistic, which is a lot of these. And then there's proactive areas, constrained priority, or high priority. And I don't see any high priority except for some of this little bit in Brownsville. But the bicycle tourism trails was another part of their recommendations. This is how our region would connect to the rest of the statewide system. And again, this is a developing system. It's not all existing. But there were some new routes or realigned routes from the original 2018 proposed routes. So you can kind of see a lot of that came into our area through this plan. And the reason for this, just to be really clear, was that they want regularly spaced stops at small towns and other travel resources. So it is a tourism mechanism. This is a way that we can help our region with its local economy if we could promote safe, accessible, affordable access to transportation options for bicycling and recreation. We know there's a huge demand for it. So this is that close-up of that. This is a close-up of that where you can see these new connections. I encourage you to check that out. I keep doing that, my bad. Important revisions include the designation of US 281 between Hidalgo and Los Indios as a bicycle tourism trail route in lieu of US 83. And we've talked a lot about how challenging cycling on US 83 can be. So I do feel that US 281 is easier to cycle on. But this realignment reflects the presence of continuous lower stress bikeways with direct access to recreational and tourist destinations such as Santa Ana National Wildlife Refuge. But all along 281, there's historical markers. And so if you are historic tourists, I know you'd be interested in stopping along that. But let's see, I know it's 11:47. So am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Am I muted? Okay. Not me. But so going on, these are the next steps of what we can do. I wanted to communicate, again, a lot of you are named here for your participation. One thing I do want to say is TxDOT works with Bonnie, Greg on the Texas Department of Transportation Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I've been serving on the statewide BPAC for about 5 years now. And in the July meeting, they elected me to chair the statewide BPAC. So November 22nd, I'll have my first meeting as chair of the TxDOT BPAC, and I will be sure to continue to push for our region and get some resources and continued assistance for this area. So thank you. I'm very excited about it. I think this is a way that we can really encourage we talked about this, the USBR, the United States Bicycle Route. I really want to get that designated. It's something that we've been discussing since 2015. But do we have any questions or comments on this item? Okay, that's the update. If you have any project updates, please go ahead and let us know where you're at with your project. I just really wanted to kind of give TxDOT a shout out for their work on the FAR district plan. All right, hearing none, it's okay. I know where most of these projects are. I'm like, if Javier, no wait, I think, well, I'll get with you project managers later, but I do have some project updates and some needs to continue seeing development on our bike ped projects. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you talking about the projects that we got funded through the TASA?
Yeah, if you have any updates.
Okay. Do you mind if I just verbally tell you where we're at?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So right now we've submitted paperwork for our RFQ for the procurement to TxDOT for review. They made some comments about a week and a half ago, and so we responded back to them. And then there was another form that they gave us. It was sort of a spreadsheet for the DBE. and I submitted that this morning, actually yesterday, and then I had to answer some questions this morning. So I think we're kind of at the tail end of that one for phase 3, which is the project scope of work is from McKelvey to Hugh Ramsey. If you remember that one, that's 2021. And then the phase 4, which is the planning grant for the section where the terminus is by Dixieland all the way up to Dixieland Road. That one we're working on also the RFQ to submit to them for review.
Okay, because you already have a procurement plan approved, right?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Javier. Anybody else, I think, with current projects that they'd like to provide an update on? I know with David Hernandez and Vorba, I saw the email to the City of Brownsville Parks Department for a potential cleanup, right? I office, as David knows, I office with the City of Brownsville Parks Department over here. So I will be sure to push that because I think with this wonderful weather and the cold front we just got, I'm ready to go outside and help maintain some trails, you know? In the summer, I'm sorry, I did not volunteer much at all. But now that it's nice weather, I'm happy to be outside a little bit more.
Yeah, well, thanks, Eva. We'll be announcing that soon. It's that we had originally scheduled this weekend, but it's probably going to be in a future date. So I will share that with the committee. I don't know if Javier shared, but we did our official ribbon cutting of the Harlingen Arroyo Park asphalt pump track. So we're really excited. We had the mayor and a bunch of city officials. Javier was there, and my board. So we're really excited. We got that project completed. All the paperwork done for the grant, and we're ready to move on to the next project.
I'm so glad that your organization took a lot of the initiative there and really worked with Harlingen, who was very amenable, from my understanding, in your group. I know that's something that I'm jealous of as a Brownsvillian, but thank you all so much. I think it's great for our region. It's great for our community. And if you all already don't follow Vorba, I encourage you to consider membership. I would love to help in the future with a membership drive, because even though I don't mountain bike, because I can't break my face, you know, at all, and I would, but if I did, I still I'm interested in getting a membership just to, you know, again, applaud them and support the work that these volunteers are doing in their free time. But thank you all so much for your project updates. If anybody else has a project update, please go ahead and encourage you to utilize the chat or speak up. We're at about 11:53. So any new or unfinished business, anything that you're interested in hearing about, anything we can bring to a future agenda. If you'd like to present your work, the things that you're doing in your community, I'm also very open to that. But reach out to me. I think this has been a very productive meeting, a short and long 1.5 hours, but I'm thinking we're going to meet, I think I said January 8th, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's a Wednesday. We'll be Wednesday, January 8th at 10:30. And we'll do everything virtual next year. So just be aware. Hopefully this works out for you. And we will, again, continue to meet. So this will be virtual and we won't have a location. So, and do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Chris Nelson, City of Brownsville.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second. David
Who was that?
Vorba.
Thank you, David. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Hi.
Thank you. I don't think anybody opposes. The meeting has adjourned. Thanks, Naz, for joining. Yes, I agree. The hour and a half flew by. I hope you all enjoy your lunch, your day, and the rest of your week. Happy holidays. If I don't see you, you'll see some calendar invites from me. And if you, again, reach out if there's anything you'd like to discuss. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays. Congratulations,
Happy
Eva.
holidays. Thanks, Chris.